Welcome to Chapter 10.3, Grade 5 Math students. In this chapter, we're going to learn to calculate the percent of a number. Of the 400 seats on an airplane, 80% are in the economy class cabin. So how many seats are in the economy class cabin? There are two different methods we can use to solve this problem. The first uses a bar model. So I'm going to draw a quick bar model here that I'm going to divide into 10 equal parts. I'm using 10 just to simplify, and we know that 8 of those, or 80 of those, 10 or 100 is equivalent to our economy class seats. So the whole thing is equal to 400 seats, and 80% are economy class. So let's set up a problem here. 100% is equal to 400 seats. So 1% would equal 4 seats, right? So to find out what 80% of our seats would be, sorry, I ran out of space here, we would simply take 80 times 4, which will give us 320 seats. So we figured out that on our airplane with 400 seats, 80% of the seats, or 320 seats, are in the economy class cabin. Now let me show you method 2. Method 2 is actually the technique that I prefer for solving problems like this. We know that 80% of our seats are in the economy class cabin. Of is code for multiply, so 80% of 400 would simply be 80% times 400. To solve this, we'll convert our 80% to a fraction, 80 over 100, times 400. You can add the over 1 if it helps you to remember what you're supposed to multiply by what, but it isn't necessary. Now we cross-reduce, giving us equivalent fractions 80 over 1 times 4 over 1. 80 times 4 equals 320. So we came to the same answer in what I think is a much easier technique. We have 320 seats in the economy class cabin. Here are 2 practice problems to try on your own. In number 1, we find that Lily had $800. She spent 20% of her money. How much did she spend? In number 2, one Sunday, 800 people visited the zoo. 75% of the visitors were children. How many children visited the zoo? You can use either method 1 or method 2 from the previous screen to solve this problem. I truly don't care which one you use, as long as it's the one that works best for your brain and you show me your work. Press pause while you do that work, and we have a little bit more to do when you return. We're going to up the complexity a bit on these next problems. We're going to find the percent and the number represented by the percent. Mr. Sanjay earns a monthly salary of $4,400. He spends 25% of his money on rent and 30% of the money on food. So question 1 asks, what percent of his salary is left? Well, if we draw a picture that represents 100% of his salary, we can subtract away 25% spent on rent, 30% spent on food. What does this quantity represent? Well, that would be 100 minus 25 minus 30, which is equal to 45%. So Mr. Sanjay has 45% of his salary left after he pays his rent and buys his food. So how much of his salary is left? What amount of money is left? Let's answer that using both methods 1 and 2. In method 1, we'll say that 100% is equal to $4,400. Therefore, 1% of his salary, when we divide both sides by 100, is $44. So 45% of his salary, which is what remains, would be equal to $44 times 45%, which is going to equal $1,980. So after he pays his bills, he has $1,980 left. Let's work that problem using method 2. In method 2, we want to solve for 45% of, code for times, $4,400. Now we simply convert this to a fraction, 45 over 100 times 4,400. You can put that over 1 if it helps you remember what to multiply by what. We cross-reduce to have 1 and 44. 45 times $44 is equal to $1,980. Here's your last practice problem for Chapter 10.3. Of the 1,200 goats, chickens, and ducks on Maria's farm, 20% are goats, 45% of the animals are chickens, and now I want you to solve for what percent of the animals are ducks, and how many ducks are there on the farm. We'll review these problems together tomorrow, as well as work through several more problems with percent of a number. Have a great night, and thanks for your hard work.